Hey everybody, welcome back to our lecture on accessible design in kitchens and bathrooms. And in this video, we're going to cover some accessibility concerns in the bathroom specifically. We'll start out by talking about maneuvering clearances and then go through each of the three major centers of a bathroom. You will remember that you need to provide clear floor space at each appliance or fixture in a kitchen or bathroom. That clear floor space could be 30 by 48 inches, or it could be bigger than that depending on your specific user's needs. It's okay if those clear floor spaces overlap with each other, and we see that in this illustration here. What you don't want is for them to overlap with any door swing. All right, it's not included in this illustration because we're using a sliding pocket door. You also need to provide room for your user to come into the room, all right, turn around and leave. And this is especially important in a bathroom. We're talking about it here in the bathroom video because bathrooms can be quite tight, and so it becomes critical. So you'll see illustrated here a 60 to 66 inch turning circle. This is the diameter of your turning circle. All right, for someone to come in and be able to safely exit the room. So we draw a neat little circle on the floor plan, but it turns out it can be more complex than that. Here is your 60-inch minimum diameter turning circle. All right, but a T-shaped space works as well. And if you're wondering how does that work, think about making a 3-point turn in a car and what kind of space you need in order to do that. And in 3 dimensions, it turns out that most of that widest area occurs down at the floor because the toe space projects the most. All right. And so often in a bathroom, you can actually tuck a little bit of that 60-inch turning diameter under a countertop if needed. Here's a couple more illustrations of that turning circle or maneuvering clearance in a bathroom. And you can see in illustration A here, we've got a T-shaped clearance, and it is 36 inches minimum wide. All right. And here's an illustration of that turning circle and how it extends slightly into that knee space. Let's go into more specifics about accessibility criteria for a grooming center. And the images you see on your screen, I chose to kind of remind you that even though a bathroom is made accessible, it doesn't have to look medical. Let's start out with how to approach a grooming center. All right, you can use a side approach or a front approach. Make sure to provide a clear floor space, all right, for a standing or a sitting user. And remember that those can actually overlap. Clear floor space for the front approach of a seated user can include knee space, so you can tuck under that sink. And we have another illustration of kind of the maximum protrusions that you could design, all right, to allow someone to successfully access that sink. Notice that these knee space requirements for the kitchen sink that we saw earlier and for the bathroom lavatory here are the same. It's also important to provide enough side-to-side clearance for your users so that any obstacle is not too close. All right. Code requires a 15-inch distance from the edge of any obstacle right here to the center line of your sink. NKBA recommends at least 24 inches. Let's talk about the height of your vanity. This is again going to depend on your specific user and their needs. A standard height vanity, if you don't specify, you're going to get 32 inches. All right. It's recommended that you provide a maximum of 34 inches for someone in a wheelchair. All right. Um, if you have someone who can't bend easily, you may want to choose they call it a comfort height vanity of 36 inches, right, which matches your standard kitchen countertop. Next, let's go into more detail about the toileting center. As with all appliances and fixtures, you need to provide a way to approach the toilet and clear floor space in order to access that toilet. You'll want to work closely with your user and find out their specific mobility needs, because there are several different ways that people with disabilities approach a toilet. All right, it could be from the side, it could be from the front, it could be perpendicular. It really depends on exactly their strongest method of moving from one seat to another. Let's make sure there's enough width from our toilet, from the center line to any obstacle to the side. All right, code requires a 15-inch minimum, but the ADA regulation is 18-inch. All right. For accessible toilets, and NKBA also recommends 18 inches. Toilets come in different heights, and you can pick a standard height toilet, which is somewhere in the 15 to 17 inch range. All right, you can pick a chair height, and KBA calls it chair height. You might also hear it called comfort height or ADA height toilet. That's going to be a little bit higher, 16 to 18, 19, it depends on the model, inches. All right. There are other toilets available. There's smaller ones, typically marketed for children. All right. And there are some custom tall toilets for people who have a very hard time bending. All right. And remember that many wall hung fixtures, you can select the height in a custom manner. Assist bars. This is the new name for grab bars, right? And they are placed in locations where your user needs some help with mobility or with balance, right? So they're especially important around the toilet, and you need to place them specifically for your user's needs. On the screen here, your NKBA planning guidelines has provided some common useful locations, all right? But you don't have to place all of these grab bars or even in this particular location if that doesn't work for your specific user. It is important to reinforce your wall and put some blocking in during construction in order to install these grab bars. When you're working with commercial construction or multifamily housing, the ADA kicks in, and also this California building code. It's very, very specific about where those grab bars are required. So if you're working with this type of projects, here are your requirements. All right, so far we've covered the grooming center and toileting center of a bathroom. So we'll pause here and come back and talk about the bathing and showering center next. Let's talk about the height of your vanity. This is going to